Okay.
All right. So what qualities make a good leader, and what qualities make a poor leader? All right. What do you think?
I think like a good leader is someone who is willing to like get down and do all the regular stuff that everybody else is doing and doesn't think they're above other people and kind of views themselves as like a part of a team versus just like the only one setting the tone for the entire group.
Yeah. On like page 11, it says, let me try to find it. It basically says like that being a good leader is like being able to work really well with others, and like not just being like a dictator.
And I also think really important is like leading by example. Like if you see your leader doing something that they're not supposed to do, it's gonna make you think that you're able to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's really a big one.
Yeah. And I think being a good leader like is almost like self-explanatory. You don't need to say that that person is a good leader. People are self-driven to follow that person if they're a leader. If they're a good
natural leaders. Yeah. Because it's like go for it.
Yeah, I think good leaders serve a common goal and serve the needs of the group, not just themselves.
Mm-hmm.
What page you say that thing was on? 38?
38, yeah, 38.
What did you guys score on that test?
What were
Democratic.
Yeah.
Like by a long shot?
I was actually kind of close to authoritarian. I was just 14 in authoritarian and then 15 in democratic.
Oh geez.
Yeah.
I think my like overall score was like a 51, so it said it was democratic also, which I like agree with because I kind of feel like I'm like a very like just do it. I'll help you. I'll show you how to do it, and then if you need help, like you're more than welcome to ask. Like the door is always open, type of thing.
Mm-hmm. I got democratic, but I feel like I'm more laissez-faire when it comes to my management.
Why do you think that? How do you manage? Because you said you're a supervisor, right?
Yeah, so I feel like, and it's such a small team that I work with, like only 2 other people because I just close, and we just have a list, and I'm like, all right, just follow the list, guys. Like, or let's just all do our own thing. I'm not like on them telling them what to do or anything like that.
That kind of goes with like what Bill said is like they're mature employees and like they know that like you just do it and no one's gonna have to tell you to do it.
Exactly.
And I think that's the difference between all 3 of these is the type of people that you're working with. I mean, if you're working with really young people that it's their first job, they may need authority in order to get to the next level, you know, to make decisions or like Hannah, your example, if you work with a couple of people and they know what they're doing, there's not a lot that you really need to lead other than make everything gets done. So
yeah, exactly.
Because I'm a lead too, and right now we actually have a lot of new people, so it's kind of like harder for me because I have to like do my stuff, but I also like I have to watch them because if I don't, like nothing will get done. Like even yesterday, they were like, "What else do we have to do?" And I'm like, "You can like feed through the whole store. Like there's so much more that needs to be done." So I think it really just depends on like the kind of people that you're working with.
For sure, yeah. If I definitely got like new team members in, which I haven't in a couple months. It is a whole nother experience because then you do have to be like, it calls for being more authoritarian to be like, hey, can you do these 3 tasks like in the next hour or something like that? And like making sure they do it correct and maybe like over micromanaging them until they can do it themselves.
Honestly, like before like this, I kind of thought that the authoritarian one was just like, I kind of hated it. I was like, they're just like dictators, like they whatever. But like after like listening to you guys, like I guess it really does make sense. There's like certain situations where, like you have to use that.
Yeah.
You know,
or like military. Like if you think about like certain stuff like that, like I think it says that in the book too. Like that it calls for that kind of leadership, or else you won't get like hundreds of men doing the exact same thing, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Like that's like hard to control.
Yeah, for sure.
What? I thought something. On the, do you guys want to like talk about some of the things that are on this this survey thing?
Survey thing?
Yeah, like the self-assessment thing that we did.
Oh, the same thing that we're talking about? Or like page 44, it talks about like what kind of impact it has on every single type of leadership. And I feel like that's so interesting. How with authoritarian, it says it increases the productivity when the leader is present, but I feel like when the leader's not there, then it's harder for people to be self-driven. If they need to be having the leader there to stay on their butt for them to like task.
Yeah. Like yesterday.
This morning.
Yeah, I think it's based on the employees. You know, some get the job done regardless of whether the boss is there. But I think when you have the need for authoritarian leadership, it's because the subordinates aren't capable at that point of doing what they need to do without having somebody micromanaging them.
Yeah.
I don't like to be micromanaged. It drives me nuts.
No one likes to be micromanaged.
But I mean, I needed it when I was first working. You know?
How do you feel about like the statement a leader should explain the reasons for making his decisions? Sorry, I'm laughing just because we already did this game.
Yeah.
But
it depends. Like if it's like common sense tasks, then you shouldn't really have to go into detail. But sometimes like I do have to explain like this is why we do it like this. Like if they seem like they're like not really sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just like depends.
Were all of the Starbucks like closed yesterday for like a sensitivity training?
Yeah.
So like, did they explain the reasoning for that to you guys?
I actually didn't go.
They kind of did because they explained like how it like affects people, like when you treat them like bad, like in a certain way.
Okay.
Yeah, how was that? Oh, that must have been fun. 4 hours.
Follow up on dates, issues affecting the workplace, the leader should encourage. Do you think there's one that says a leader should set direction without input from followers? I don't agree with that. I think that the followers, like if you give them a little bit of input, like it kind of makes them respect the leader more, which makes like the leader's job a little bit easier. That's my opinion.
That's true. I feel like
if you change that same question to instead of a leader to a manager, do you think a manager should have like any input, like from like the leader or anybody else?
Because I feel like it's harder if a manager or a leader is like consults their team every single time they make a decision. Then what that does is take away like any sort of power or like respect that they did have with their team, because everyone's going to be like, what, this guy can't make his own decisions. He always needs to ask everyone for their perspective, versus having the drive and like willingness to just make the decision when it needs to be made. That's hopefully considering everyone in the team, but not asking everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we talked yesterday about, you know, if it's rearranging, you know, all the stock and inventory, I don't know that you need a group, you know, conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
But if it's everybody, you know, we're changing the hours for everybody on the team or the whole work schedule, maybe that needs a little more input, you know. So I don't think every decision needs, you know, the input of the people it affects. I mean, sometimes you just can't have it that way.
Yeah. For sure. Another thing that I thought was interesting was like task versus interpersonal orientation for leadership, which was on page 49. It talks about like the difference in how like task orientation disseminates information, ignores the position's ideas and feelings of others, emphasizes productivity through acquisition of technical skills, maintains a closed door policy. But then there's like the interpersonal leader So like, what do you guys think about that? Like, how do you feel like your managers are like more task oriented or like interpersonally oriented?
I think you guys. By the way, I'm not like looking at like something else. My book's online. I think I told you that yesterday.
Oh,
So, I think like I have like some managers that are like very opposite. Like one of them is task oriented and the other is interpersonal. I
feel like having a good balance between both of them is pretty important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like I don't like the term like makes demands.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
You said you do or you don't?
I don't.
Oh.
Like I feel like demand is like a very like aggressive term.
Yeah.
And it's like if my manager's like, hey, can you do this? It's like, yeah, I'll do it. Like I don't care, you know?
Yeah.
But,
like you don't need to demand me to do it. I'm gonna do it. If you ask me to do it, I will do it.
Yeah. It's like I feel like demand's like a more like you haven't done it and I'm gonna like make you do, I don't know.
Yeah, like instead of saying like say it's so like go clean the bathrooms. Like I'm gonna be like, okay, well if she's just like, hey, do you mind cleaning the bathrooms? I'm like, hell yeah, like I'll go.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
they didn't do it. How would you address it if you told somebody to clean the bathrooms or asked them and they didn't do it?
I would say, hey, did you ever get to those bathrooms? Because you got to go do them.
Yeah, if they don't do it, then the demand comes in. Then I get the whip out. Like,
so it's kind of interpersonal and, to the point where if everybody has respect for each other, then
exactly
the job gets done. But if you have, somebody that's, unengaged, and doesn't really want to do it, then it may turn back into task orientation.
Yeah. I feel like if there's like a overall respect in the team though, like if you do ask, like, because like as a shift supervisor, like I clean the bathrooms or I do all that stuff the same as my team. And so when I ask them to do it, they're like, oh yeah, for sure. Because they know that I would do it too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think how you word stuff, like I was saying earlier, is like so important. Like what I love about communication is it's crazy how you guys said how you can either say like go do this or you can ask, do you mind going to do this? Like it's like you're doing the exact same thing either way you want them to do this. If they don't, either way they have to listen to you, whether you're asking or demanding it. But just like crazy how like if you just like change your words a little bit, like you'll just gain so much more respect from people.
Yeah, like your communication's key on it.
Yeah.
Under the task oriented one or whatever, it says like maintains a closed door policy. Do you guys think that's like possible to be task but like have an open door policy or no? Or do you think it's like cut off kind of?
Well, I think you can balance both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, closed door policy. That just sounds so terrible.
That just like makes you like it's just like a weird environment, I feel like.
Yeah. If you feel like you can't talk to your manager, like does that mean you're afraid of them or they just like jerks?
Yeah, I don't know. Weird.
I feel like the leader's supposed to be there to like obviously leads. If anyone has any questions or anything like that, they should be able to like go talk to their leader.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. If not like the head manager, like an assistant manager or something, like some sort of leader to be able to communicate with.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you guys seen this little chart on page 51? Like figure 2.2.
51. Oh, a two-dimensional view of leadership?
Yeah. I'm just looking at it.
Okay.
I was just trying to think of like.
I was looking at this one on page 54. It's like the whole leadership grid. Talks about like country club management, team management, middle of the road management, authority compliance. I wonder why it's called country club management. Because that sounds like a fun place to work.
Maybe because it says like comfortable, friendly.
Oh. Yeah.
Probably laissez-faire type.
It says low concern for production, but high concern for people. I feel like Starbucks strives for team management. They try to have high concern for people and high concern for production. Doesn't always happen, but I would say that's their goal.
Yeah. So in the end, we think that poor leaders are those who
they're driven by personal goals and agendas, whereas they're not
power hungry.
power hungry. Yeah.
And then good ones are like those who are like willing to do the same and like pretty much work with others and do stuff like that.
Yeah. And respect others so they earn the respect from others as well.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, we've been talking for 15 minutes and 30 seconds, so we could be done. Unless
Okay.
you guys have more to say.
No?
No?
Solid.
Perfect.